So today we're going to be talking about your food urges and why they're not a problem. But before I start with that, first there's going to be no coffee chats next week because we have another exciting thing happening, which is I am teaching a full workshop on the 6 essential steps to stop binge eating. So no coffee chats on Tuesday, but this workshop is going to be on Monday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. So same time as coffee chats, just on that Monday, the 19th. And this workshop is going to be where I'm going to teach you the exact steps I took and what I needed to know in order to become a confident eater. And I'm going to give you actionable tips that you can implement that very day so you can have some things to take with you throughout your week. So I'm going to put the link to that to register for that in the chat if you are not already registered. And then my second announcement is the Confident Eater Group program is open right now. So this is only open for a limited time, and we are closing next Friday. So there's only a week and a half left to get your consult booked in. And this is a 6-month program. It is the same program as my one-on-one coaching. So you're getting the same awesome lessons, worksheets, coaching, but just in a different format. So the group is really nice because you get this additional layer of community support. We have a separate private Facebook group for all of our members. So I'm going to put the link for the details for that. It's theconfidenteater.org/group, and you can look at the details there or book a consult as well. All right, so first we are going to think about when we are having a food urge, we have this desire for food, and we tend too much desire, this over desire for food. We don't want this much desire for food. Now, the thing is, I'm going to tell you a little story in a bit, but your food urges don't actually have to be a problem. They don't actually have to be something you need to get rid of or panic about or change. They can actually just exist there without having to do anything about them. And when we get to this place of allowing our food urges, it makes it so they're a lot easier to deal with, which is going to make it easier to change our brain, because the more we sit with the urges, the less they're going to come up, and especially the less strongly they're going to come up. So if you feel like right now when you get an urge to eat, it's just like so overpowering and takes over, the less you act on that urge, and the more you just see it as just a thought, the more your brain will literally rewire itself to be different. So I first would love to know if you two are able to unmute or put in the chat, what comes to mind when you have an urge to eat? How do you think and feel when that urge comes up? Do you get angry with it? Are you okay with it? What do you tell yourself when it comes up? Do you tell yourself, I've got this? This is no big deal? Or do you tell yourself, oh my gosh, we're about to binge. This is panic mode now? Yeah, Lauren, you can put it in the chat as well. No, not a problem at all. It's an intensity, like a craving. I feel like I have to eat it this now. Almost feels like an obsession for a while, right? So when we have this thought of I have to eat this now, we want to eat it now. So what if we started telling ourselves something like it's an option to eat this now, but I don't need to, because the truth is the human body can go without food for like 3 weeks or something, like a month, super long time. So we never really need to eat on the day to day. I'm not encouraging you not to eat all day, but just knowing we have this thought of I have to eat right now, that's not really true. We really don't have to eat right now. We could sit with it. And most of us should be nourishing our body, fueling it through the day. So we really don't need any extra food when we get this urge. So I want to tell you this story of, and whoever else is joining, feel free to put what comes to mind when you have an urge to eat, how you think and feel about it. Feel free to put it in the chat in the meantime. And what inspired this topic is a few weeks ago, it was my birthday, and I went out to a birthday dinner with my family. We went to this lovely vegan restaurant. I'm almost vegan. I'm kind of vegetarian, vegan-esque. Anyways, it was a really good restaurant. They had really delicious food, and I was there with one of my brothers who I would 100% consider a natural eater. He's never dieted. He's like 6'3", super muscular, but just has like He can obviously eat a little bit more then, but he just never really had any problems with food, never really undereats, overeats, just kind of goes with the flow of his body, and just navigates it like a natural eater. So he's a really good example of it. Now we were out to dinner, we had ordered our appetizers and our food, and I had known that cake was coming, so I kind of had planned in my body, make sure I had some cake, space for cake available. And as we finished up our dinner and my mom brought out some cake, it was a really delicious cake. It was this cake from a bakery, and a really nice bakery. There was like a chocolate strawberry one. Anyways, good cakes. So I'd say it's save space for this cake. So I was eating it. I felt good about it. It was delicious. And my brother, he started eating it and he was saying this thing that really stood out to me because my grandma, she's kind of a food pusher and she's like, eat more, eat more, eat more of the cake. And we were like, we're good, we're good. And my brother goes, my mind says yes, but my body says no. He was like, I want to, but I can't. It's really good, but I'm full. So really specifically, I caught onto this thought. My mind says yes, but my body says no. And I thought that was so interesting that he had that awareness of it, that he wanted to keep eating in his brain, but his body was so clearly telling him, I'm full. I don't need any more cake. We've already had the appetizers and the main meal. And why I think this is so important to hear is he had desire for food in that moment. He was kind of having an urge of sorts. He was like, this is really good cake and I would like more. But he puts always the integrity of how his body is feeling over what his mind is saying. He doesn't care that he likes the taste of it and that it was delicious. His body signals were taking the lead and he got rid of any drama around it. He wasn't saying, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be full yet. I can't believe I can't eat any more cake. I'm so mad I can't eat any more cake. He was just like, oh, it's good cake, but I'm full, even though my mind wants more. Now, I bet if you asked another natural eater if this happens to them, they would say yes too. Sometimes we think in our mind, man, natural eaters, they never think about food. They just go throughout their day. Natural eaters still have thoughts about food. They are just different thoughts than you are having right now. So thinking about food itself is not a problem. Having this desire for food come up is not a problem. It's how we treat those thoughts and how we treat that desire. So I just want you to know that the desire for food itself, the enjoying of food is not the problem. The difference is we want to make sure we're not making it mean anything. What a lot of us will do is we'll get that desire for food, say you're eating the cake, you're like, it's so good. You make the fact that your mind is saying this tastes so good, you turn that thought into I must eat it. I have to eat it. I'm panicking now because my brain is telling me this. I have no control. I am just gonna do it. This is what I always do. All of that drama is all the meaning you're giving that thought versus just looking at it for what it is. So can anyone see how they might not be doing this right now? How they're thinking about their urges differently in a non-natural eater way? And what you're thinking about the urge right now. We want to see what's going on in your brain right now that is causing you to make this urge a problem and act on it versus just seeing it as it is. So most of us freak out and panic when we feel this desire for food, right? We feel that desire and we think, oh my gosh. And it makes sense that this happens, that we kind of freak out, because in the past, to a large degree, you have probably acted on these urges. When you got this, no worries, Mary in the chat. In the past, when we have had these urges, this desire, we've acted on them, we've eaten a lot of food. We saw it and then we said, oh my gosh, I have to eat this. So that's why we feel this fear around them. This is why we feel the panic. My natural eater brother, he doesn't feel the panic around that desire so much because he always listens to his bodies. Sure, sometimes he overeats a bit, but he makes the intentional decision to overeat if he does. So he doesn't have the same drama because he hasn't really overeaten on them in the past. But this can change. Just because in the past we've gotten this urge and we have acted on it and binged or overeaten doesn't mean we can't change that. It doesn't mean we cannot just have the urge and not have the binge. So what I want you to know is that the urge itself is not causing you to binge. Okay, I want you to hear that again. The urge itself does not cause you to binge. You can get an urge all day long and still not binge. The urge is not the problem, it's how you're handling that urge. So just because you get desire for food doesn't mean you need to act on it. Just because you have a thought about food doesn't mean you need to do anything with that thought. That's how natural eaters treat these thoughts. So the truth is, you also probably get this false desire, these urges, this over desire for things in other areas. Part of the problems I see with binge eaters is we think that we're not able to sit with the urges, that it's too hard, that we just can't do it. It's just not even with our ability, that we just can't. This urge thought comes up and that's the end of it for us. But this is not true. This is not the first time in your life you have ever sat with a feeling of desire. So I want you to find an example in your life of a time you've desired something before, but you just didn't really act on it. You just let that desire be there. Can anyone think of any examples for them? Where you wanted something, but you just didn't have it and it was no big deal? Where your brain said one thing and maybe your body said another. I know some people with alcohol, right? The brain might be like, "Oh, I like this drink," but you check into your body and you're like, I'm feeling drunk. I don't need another drink." Right? Or I'm feeling tipsy. I want to be able to drive home. You check in with your body and you just say, "Oh, doesn't matter if I want another one. We're done for tonight." Maybe when you go out shopping, you go to Target or you're going around looking for a new dress and you might see something and you might want it. You might think, "Oh, this is a really cute shirt. I'd really like to buy this." But then maybe you look at the price and you think, it's not worth it." Or you think about the clothes you already have in your closet and you're like, I don't need it. You can do the same thing with food. Food can be not worth the price that it costs you of the pain, the sluggishness, the guilt that comes after overeating. We can have this mindset around it too. Sunday was out with my husband and there was food and he fixed a plate for both of us to share. I wasn't hungry, so I didn't eat, even though I want to try everything. Awesome, Lauren. What a great win. Thank you for sharing that. Right. So you might have thought, "Oh, that food looks good. I might want to try it." But you checked in your body and you gave your body the authority. Your body became the CEO of the food decisions. And you decided that I'm not hungry. I don't need this. Awesome. Great example. Thanks for sharing. So some other examples that I've thought of. Maybe you find someone attractive or you look at your partner and you want to have some fun with them. We don't always just jump on that urge, that desire for pleasure right away, right? We can let that sit in the background and just go throughout our day without feeling like crazy overrun with it. We just let it be there. Maybe you're at work and you're just wishing that you could watch your favorite show, or you're wishing that you could curl up with a book on the couch. Just because you think, "Oh, it'd be really nice to read on the couch, maybe it's a rainy day." You don't decide to quit your job and just read all day. You don't decide to say, "I'm leaving work, it's a rainy day, and I feel like sitting on the couch and cozying up." You just allow that desire to be there. You just think, "Oh, that'd be nice, but I'm working right now, and it's not a big deal." So you can look for these examples to show yourself that you are capable of holding this feeling of desire in your body and just letting it be there until later. Or sometimes it goes away on its own, right? So maybe if you're wanting to read a book after work because it's a nice, cozy, rainy day, you might just tell yourself, I'll do that later. Just like, maybe you want a snack, but you're not really hungry. You can tell yourself, I'll eat that later. I'll have that with lunch when I'm hungry for it. And sometimes it just goes away on its own. Sometimes you're sitting at work and you're like, it'd be really nice to read a book after work. And then it's after work and your friend asks you to hang out and you're like, actually, I want to hang out with this friend instead. And that desire just kind of goes away. You kind of forget you even had that desire. So same thing with food. Sometimes we'll have that thought for food come up and then we'll just start doing something else and it just goes away and it's no big deal. So you want to expect food desire to be there without making it a problem. When I open the Amazon app on my phone, I expect I'm gonna wanna buy stuff. I just, like, wanna be sold to. I just want Amazon to tell me what I need. So I expect that when I open the Amazon app, I'm probably gonna have some desire for things. And I can notice that desire and just allow it to be there. And I usually am pretty good about not getting something else. That's another area that maybe we could work on urges on sometimes. But I don't make it a problem. I don't say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I want something else from Amazon right now." It's like, "Well, of course I do." They're giving me ads for things and I'm clicking on other things. I'm looking at my past shopping list. I'm like, "Oh, maybe I want this. Maybe I want this." So I'm okay with that desire being there because I expect it as part of the normal experience. So when you eat, you can just expect, of course, your brain's going to tell you the food is good. Of course, it's going to ask for it because we have brains that are built for survival and they're going to want to make sure we are well fed. But we can just look at that and say, oh, okay, I have some desire for food. Moving on and having what I actually need, just like we just want to buy what we actually need from Amazon and not all the other shit we buy. So then we want to question our thoughts, right? So we expect the desire to come up, then you're going to question your thoughts, right? So the desire for food comes up sometimes, and then you start asking yourself, do I really need that? Do I even want it? Is it actually worth it? Is there something else going on inside instead that I need to pay attention to? Am I upset today? We should be asking these questions when we're shopping at Target as well and we get the desire. Am I upset about something today? Do I really need this candle or am I just trying to feel better? Because having that questioning will have us see that, okay, this urge, maybe not something I actually want to act on. So, what I want to leave you with today before we go into open coaching. So, if you're new to coffee chats, how we do the coffee chats is I give you this training and then we go into open coaching where you can ask me any questions, you can unmute, you can just type them in the chat if you want. But it's really my time to give back to you for anything that's coming up. But the question I want you to leave you with today to ask yourself is how are you making your urges a bigger problem than they actually are? How are you growing your urges bigger than what they need to be? Because they're just thoughts. They're just things that are running through your brain, just like so many. We have 60,000 thoughts a day. So what science estimates, 60,000 thoughts. We definitely do not pay attention to all of those. And so we can treat food thoughts the same way. All right, so tell me what takeaways you have for today, if you have any questions on this topic, or if you just have any questions about food and what you've been working on. I'd love to know where you're getting stuck, where you need support. And in the meantime, I know some of you guys joined late, so I'm going to put the link in for my next workshop, which is on Monday. So the difference between workshops are and coffee chats. Workshops are a little more official. I have the slides out and a little more structured. So that's going to be a 45-minute to an hour workshop that's happening Monday, the 19th. So next week, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, so same time as now. And then there's going to be no coffee chats next Tuesday because we have this workshop. So hope to see you at that workshop. How do I know when to know? When to know you're hungry and what to eat. So you're hungry when your body tells you you're hungry. Now I know that might not be the answer you want to hear because you might say, well, how do I know when I'm hungry? A few signs you might be hungry. We're going to feel it in our body physically. So a lot of people, I'm just going to show you my body so you can see more. Some people feel it in their chest or their throat a little more. Some people feel it more in their midsection. Most people don't feel it lower. I feel like this might be more bloating if you're feeling it lower in your body. Sometimes this is a feeling of like bloating versus like fullness or hunger. So I would say kind of like mid region of our body, chest, throat. That's usually where we feel hunger, which makes sense because hunger is our part of our digestive system. So if we're feeling sensations in our digestive process somewhere along this line, probably a good signal. So it can feel empty. It might feel tight. It might feel like your stomach is kind of shrinking and getting smaller. It feels kind of crampy almost. You might get a little tired or dizzy, a little lethargic. I like to give a 3 to 6 hour guideline to people of when to eat. So this doesn't mean if you're hungry before 3 hours, you can't eat, but just know that if feel like you're constantly hungry, I mean, that's like a whole thing in itself, but if it's like an hour after you just ate a very large meal, you're probably not hungry. That's probably a thought that's coming in your brain, an urge. And so that's when we want to wait. Now, what to eat? You can eat whatever the heck in the world you want to eat. If you want to eat donuts all day, fantastic. If you want to eat just vegetables all day, fantastic. I don't recommend either of them because that wasn't a very balanced way to eat. So I always recommend including 4 things: carbs, protein, fat, fiber. Okay, those 4 things are going to help keep your meals balanced. As long as you're having some amount of those in your meals, you're covering the what to eat. The reason it's hard to know what to eat is because we have been very infiltrated in our diet culture by a million different things, citing a million different scientific studies of this is the best way to eat and this way is the best to eat. There is no best way to eat. If there were like one diet that like cured cancer for everyone and made everyone eternally healthy, like it would for sure be on every news screen everywhere and we wouldn't be so confused. But instead, there's conflicting research, there's conflicting science. The truth of that is because a lot of foods have something to offer us, right? If something exists in the world that is edible to us, probably has some sort of nutrient that is good for us, to some degree, even if it's something that is kind of artificially made, like gummy bears. Some people eat gummy bears when they're running because it gives them a nice sugar hit, and they need that. My habits sometimes just are. And then I am falling into the pattern, not so much the urge. So the urge is a pattern, though. The urge is a habit. Um, like even I would say urges are habits, but they're also sometimes just part of being human, where we have desire for food, like just like we have desire for any other pleasurable thing in life. So the urges, there's gonna be desire for food there. That's what I'm trying to say. No matter what, no matter how much of a natural eater become, you might still have desire for food at times, and that's completely normal. But falling into the pattern, that's the awareness, because the reason it has become a pattern is because you've acted on it so many times, for however many years, that you get triggered and you act on it pretty much instantly. Now, there is space between it. The space between your urge and your action right now might be like this. But the more time you put between it, the further away these pathways are going to become, the further the way your neurons in your brain are going to start to separate. So when you look at it of right now, I get the urge and I just eat. If that happens in 1 second, I want you to try to make that 5 seconds. Start to separate a little more. You might think, oh my gosh, 5 seconds between when I get the urge and eat. But look, you're changing. You went from here to here. Okay. And then after 5 seconds, let me see if I can sit with this urge for 30 seconds. Okay. You sit with 30 seconds. You're creating more space. Let me see if I can sit with this urge for 2 minutes. More space, more space, more space, until you get to the place where you're actually recognizing the urges coming up. And then you can start using your tools. You can start interrupting them more, and that's starting to change your brain. I think one of the things that makes my urges so difficult is that I'm a terrible cook and I don't like eating the food I make. Same. Sometimes I just get myself to eat. But if I follow, sometimes I can't just get myself to eat. But if I follow an urge, I will actually eat it, especially if it's from outside foods. So we do need to enjoy some of the foods we have. None of us have to be expert chefs here. None of us have to be five-star Michelin chefs in order to feel satisfied from our food. Now, you said especially if it's from outside food, if you're enjoying it, I would get inspiration from that outside food. So if you have a certain restaurant or fast food place you really like if you enjoy burgers, seeing how you can make burgers at home. Sometimes the reason people don't like the food they make at home and they don't feel satisfied by it is because they're trying to like ultra healthify it, where they're just having like lettuce with no dressing and chicken, and it's super boring and not that good. So like of course you're not going to want to eat that. You're going to eat the fancy burger from the other place. So seeing how you can take something like a burger that can be really simple, like it's just grilling the meat. You can buy lettuce that's already ready to go, just chopping up a tomato and then toasting a bun, and you've got it ready in like however 15 minutes, whatever it would take. So seeing just if you can find little easy ways to start to improve your satisfaction around food so you can actually get yourself fed. Because as we know, when we're not fed and when we're restricting, that's when it's really hard to deal with our urges to binge, because our body is trying to get us to eat. It wants food. And if we haven't eaten all day or we haven't eaten very much, our brain is going to send us signals to get the quickest calories. And that's usually the things that we don't really want to be eating for dinner. We don't want to be eating gummy bears and fruit snacks for dinner, but sometimes that's what our brain will tell us to do because it's just trying to get us in calories. So we need to get in the calories earlier in the day then. Sometimes like I feel like I don't want to do the work. I know what I should do, but at the moment I cave into the habit of overeating. Are there practical things that could be done at the moment to do the work? So first there's a podcast episode that'd be really good for you. I don't know which one it is. Actually, let me go check for you real quick. and it's called like letting it be hard or allowing it to be hard. It's from a few weeks ago. I have my podcast organizer up, so I'm just going to see if I can find it. Episode. Okay, well, I can't find it, but go back about a month or two in my podcast, Become a Confident Eater. I would listen to that podcast because sometimes it's going to be hard on our journey. That's the truth. I'm sorry to break it to you, but we're changing our brain here. If you're following my methods and my ways, we're changing your brain. We're not slapping a Band-Aid fix on it. Band-Aid fixes are easy. This is like the difference between like, putting a Band-Aid on your bunion versus getting bunion surgery on your foot. Bunion surgery is going to be a little bit harder. It's going to be a little more painful. There's going to be a longer recovery time, but it's going to fix the bunion. My mom just got bunion surgery, so that's why I'm thinking about it. But it's the same thing when we're changing our brain. So just accepting that it's okay if you don't want to do the work, right? Sometimes it's hard to do the work, and that's just the process of changing our brain, and allowing it to be hard at times is okay. Now, just because something is hard and just because something you don't want to do it doesn't mean it's not going to be fun. So think about hiking. I don't know if you like hiking or not, but a lot of people like hiking, and it's hot and there's bugs in your face and you get super muddy and dirty and you're thirsty and you get lost on the trail sometime. You got to figure it out. But people love it. But it's so fun because people like the hard things. It can be rewarding to be able to get to the top. The journey can be fun if you're talking to a friend. Same thing with stopping binge eating. There's some times where it can be like, oh, this is hard work. But that doesn't mean it has to be boring hard work. It can be fun hard work. You can make yourself a sticker chart for all of your new habits and make it super exciting. So you can see how this is actually a journey that doesn't have to be so difficult and hard all the time. Something else, so you're saying, I don't want to do the work. I would question, one, what is the work you're trying to do? Like what feels like work and is it actually necessary? If you're telling yourself you have to do like a 30-minute meditation every time you get an urge, I wouldn't want to do that either. That's why I teach all my clients really simple, less than 60-second tools for when you have an urge. So if the work that you're doing feels really hard, maybe it's not always necessary. So I'd be questioning like what you think is necessary and like, is it actually? Now, in the moment thinking I don't want to, that is your lower brain trying to say the same. No one has ever binged that I know of. No one has ever binged and said, I'm so glad I did that. That was exactly what I wanted to do. No, every time we binge, we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that again. I'm so mad at myself. I really wish I didn't do that. I could have just sat through it a little bit longer. So what that shows us is when your brain says, I don't want to sit with this urge. I just want to eat. That is not a true thought. That is your lower brain trying to keep you the same as you've always been. And we want to tell ourselves it's not true. Tell yourself the truth instead. The truth is you don't want to binge eat. You never actually want to binge eat. The truth is your body doesn't need more food. The truth is you're safe to sit with this urge. The urge is just a thought. It's harmless. It's powerless. It's not going to hurt you. So telling yourself those truths in that moment is really important, and reminding yourself that when your brain says, I want to binge and I don't want to sit with this urge, that's a lie. It's not really true because we know afterwards, 10 seconds later after we shove the food in our mouth, that's not true. All right, so I hope I got all your questions answered. Again, I put that link in the chat for our workshop next Monday. I hope to see you all there. It's going to be super duper fun. You're going to learn lots of cool tips. And then I'm also going to put the link in the chat again to book a free consult for the group program. We are closing next Friday, the 23rd. So we're only open for a limited time. So make sure if you are interested at all in getting further support, this is an awesome time to do so. The group is really nice with community support. So I would love to chat to you this week or next week. I have my calendar open so you can book a call with me. I promise I'm not that scary. I know sometimes people are nervous to book a consultation call, but we just chat, see if it's a good fit for you. If it's not a good fit for you, you can always tell me no too. But it's always just a good idea so you can at least see the potential of changing, because I really want to see everyone make the changes they want to with their eating habits, not stay stuck in this, and really have that true structure, support, lessons, worksheets, everything you could possibly need to become a natural eater. All right, so hope to see you guys at the workshop next Monday and have a fantastic week. Bye.